Let's talk about the Hogs, guys. Let's talk about Arkansas. Let's talk about Mama Hog. Do you think Goodman is ever going to apologize to Mama Hog for the disrespect, the utter disrespect that he showed to that Arkansas program, Sweeney?
He will never apologize, but we do need to get him down to Bud Walton at some point, just to see the reaction.
Got to get her on the show.
Hey, look, I'm working on it. Clint Sterner, I know you're listening to this, man. We got to get Mama Hog on. The people are calling for it. The YouTube chat is calling for it. In all seriousness, though, Randolph, what's been the change with this group? You know, they've made a run. They lost 5 or 6 there, and it looked for a while like this might be like they got blown out by Hofstra at home when Hofstra did not have their best player. And now we're sitting here. I think they're 12-4 in the SEC now. Am I right about that? And they've won
11-4,
11-4, won 12 out of 13, whatever it is. They've won a whole bunch of games. They're not losing 5 out of 6 anymore. They're not Michigan State right now. What changed? How did this group turn it around?
You know what? I think in changing their lineup around a little bit, just figuring out who can do what. I mean, originally we thought coming in like Chris Likes was going to be like maybe the starting point guard, you know, start and settle things down and figuring out how he was going to be. And I think he settled into that role where, look, you just come in off the bench, you know, just be a little spark plug, just play. I don't need you trying to set and run plays. Just go be a bucket. And their team, I think they just understand what's being asked of them now. You know, I think defensively, we knew they were going to be a solid defensive team. I am concerned about their lack of size of dealing or playing against bigs. You saw that against tonight. You know, they saw that being an issue tonight, but I like the team. I mean, they're playing really well, and they got guys that can close at the end. And when you got guard play that can close at the end, you got a shot. And they're playing as well right now as anybody, even any team, you know, playing in the SEC right now.
The thing that I love about Muss and the way that he kind of runs his program and runs his team is that it's very much like an NBA offense in the sense that he just goes after the mismatch that he can figure out.
Exactly.
And he'll just attack that over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter who he's going with, whether it's JD Notae. Tonight, Devo Davis got it going a little bit. And so he started riding the hot hand. Jalen Williams played well. And I think Jalen might end up being kind of a little bit of an X factor for this team. But it's you don't see that a lot in college basketball where you find a mismatch, you isolate the mismatch, and you go and just try to take advantage of it one-on-one. That's very much more an NBA thing than it is college basketball.
There's a few teams that still do it, right? I mean, there's few teams that still do. I think Duke does it. Duke they would call your number. So if you were out there and heard your number called and it wasn't on a scout report, that meant you were getting ISO'd. So certain teams may do it, but you're right. For them, it is NBA like. It's like it's an old school NBA because even certain teams are still motion. It used to be, all right, oh, is that Randolph in? Oh, we post him, you know, until you come out of the game. So they're playing well right now. I think it's worked for them. They put you in rotation, and once you get in rotation, that then you're dead with them.
I think the thing for me is at the beginning of the season, Arkansas had somewhat of an identity crisis, right? They had all these guys that had thought it was their team. They thought it was they were going to build the offense right. Devo was coming off the great finish to last season. Was he going to be the SEC Player of the Year? Was he going to be the guy you built around? Notae is a guy who's, I think, one of the most gifted scorers in college basketball off the bounce one-on-one. Umude was a 21 point a game, super, super high usage guy at South Dakota. Chris Likes has lived with the ball in his hands all his life, right? And he can cook, but,
he can shoot you out of
right.
it.
Yes, absolutely. They had a lot of guys who I think, thought it was their team. And I think one of the things that Eric Musselman has done always so well, all the way back to the Nevada days, was taking guys like that and getting buy-in, right? And getting guys to fit into their roles. He did it with Marcus Marshall back in the day at Nevada, who was this kind of shoot first guy from Missouri State who turned into this awesome player for them. Every year in Nevada, it seemed like he brought in a kid and was like, man, is this going to script the chemistry? And he just figured it out. And I thought that, in December and early January, I was like, did Muss finally, meet his match? Did he finally not have the team he could crack? And it just, it has turned. They've gotten that buy-in. He is one of the great coaches. And look, that's a tremendous skill, right? I mean, from a portal standpoint, especially in this day and age, to be able to identify guys that you can mold and identify guys that you can build rosters around and take, talent from everywhere and put it together and have everyone, competing at a high level and competing in their role at a high level. That's as important as anything in college basketball right now. And I just think that, Muss is as good as it gets in that regard. And it's a huge reason why Arkansas has been as successful as they've been. And so right now you've got a team that, can attack mismatches because every single guy can create for themselves. You've got a center in Jalen Williams who's super unselfish, who kind of makes up for the fact that none of their guards are necessarily a pass first point guard. You can switch almost every spot. You've got these long athletic guys like Tony and Umude who are 6'6", 6'7". Devo is a really good defender. They're a really good defensive team, and they've got all kinds of weapons on the offensive end. I think this team has real upside to make a push. I mean, again, I don't know if they're a Final Four team, but could they get back to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight?
There. I think they can, depending on the way that things shake out. I definitely think that this is a team that can win 4 straight games. But I'm curious. Sweeney made an interesting point, RC. He talked about how Musk gets guys to buy into roles. And I think role acceptance when it comes to college basketball, when it comes to the NBA, when it comes to football, when it comes to literally any sport, knowing what your job is and understanding what you're expected to do, I think is the most important part of having a successful team. It doesn't matter, sports, business, whatever it is. Know your job, be great at your job. You've been in these locker rooms, you've been on these teams, you've played on these teams. How do you do that as a coach? How do you get guys to understand this is what you need to do and this is why I need you to do it, and you need to buy in or you're not going to play?
But you just said it, because if no one wants to sit on the bench, so when you get guys in there, you have to be willing to sit guys in there no matter who it is. And to your point about getting Musk to get guys to blend in and accept their roles, it's easy to do when you're winning, and it's hard because when he first got there and they were losing, everybody was like, that don't work at the high major. That was the kind of the whispers. Everybody's like, that don't work high major. You can't bring these guys in thinking that they're going to, that work at Nevada or work at some smaller schools. You get some bigger guys down. And he was getting guys like Likes is coming from starting every game at Miami. He was getting guys. He had guys coming in there where it was like, hey, now all of a sudden he's 10, 15 minutes a night. But they're winning, and he's shining in that role, to your point. But that's what coaching is going to be right now with the transfer portal, with JUCOs and the one-time transfer rule. You better believe, like that's it. It's going to be, hey, come here. This is what I want. This is what I need. You do this, I guarantee you will be successful. And that's all you can ask for.